Yo, what's up, space children? Captain Starseed coming at you with another adventure from the life of Starseed and the famous Bohemian flying monkeys. Anyway, you know what? I had it on my heart to share with you something kind of miraculous and eerie that happened to me a number of years ago, early 90s. I know it was early 90s because I was headed to a rainbow gathering or just outside of Taos, New Mexico. And it wasn't this last gathering. I think they had another gathering there too, but it was years ago. It was when Jerry was still around and stuff. And anyway, I was young, and I've always tended to walk on the wild side a little bit. I'm almost in this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character, where it's like I know who I am in my spirit, and then I know who I am in my flesh, I'm the wormy king. So anyway, as a young kid, I grew up, I'll just lay some of my background out for you. As a young kid, I grew up in a Christian family. My dad actually died when I was 4 months old. He had been an outlaw biker, and he had a rough bringing up. His dad was real abusive and used to beat him and, tie his mom up in the basement and stuff like that and beat her with 2x4s. And it's just a crazy story, but anyway, my dad had this miraculous faith conversion, and from the people that knew him, he'd been in and out of jail since he was just a kid and stuff, and so it definitely was a miracle. But anyway, he married my mom, and they had me, and my mom had always been kind of this, authentically good person, no one's good, right? We all have our skeletons in the closet, but she was genuine anyway in seeking the truth and trying to find love, and she just happened to be one of these Jesus people, and so my mom brought me up in the church and stuff, but, as she got older, she kind of got out of that movement, and that movement started fading a bit and stuff like that, and that was amazing. I loved those people. Our house was always open, full of drifters and runaways, and, you name it, right? They were there. We had every hobo in town over for dinner some nights, and I loved those years. They were an adventure. But as I got older, it got more mainstream, and it started getting more like a man-made religion thing than a whole spirit journey, and I saw a lot of stuff in the church, went through some rough experiences, and ended up leaving real young, and on a search for love, and I did find a lot of love, actually, I have to be honest, in the whole Grateful Dead community, and at rainbows and stuff like that. Some of those people I dearly love with my whole heart. They invited me to their homes, and I was a complete stranger. I'd never met them. Invited me to their farms and their communities, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. But there was always this God piece in me that was really missing. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about something that happened one time in Colorado. Like I said, for years I'd been, out of contact with God. I'd probably pray all the time, and just kind of share my struggles and stuff like that, but I definitely didn't have a real solid relationship with God. And I wasn't a real religious dude, Still I'm not, actually. Still can't really stomach a lot of organized religion, There's some good people in it that are sincere, but it's not my trip. Anyway, I was visiting some friends of mine up in Yampa, Colorado. I don't know if any of you know that place. It's a really beautiful place, and my friend Kelly lived beside this old hotel, and I play a bit of the piano, and they told me that, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid used to stay in there and hide out in there and stuff. And I'd go in there and play the piano, and these people were really great. And, and we'd have a good time together and stuff, and anyway, it was good, and I really liked the people in Colorado, but one night, being an irresponsible guy, I drank about 40 ounces of rye, and my friend Kelly, I don't know what possessed her, and possessed her is probably the right word, to lend me her car, and go in a Steamboat Springs, and have some fun. And so off I headed, and there was this little town on the way, and I saw a bar, and I thought, man, I could use another drink, So I went in there and I got drinking with these Mexicans and smoking weed and stuff, and I was wasted, They were buying me, tequila shots and drinking beers like crazy, and it just was really, really, really irresponsible. But I got in that car and I was determined that I was going to get to Steamboat Springs. And about 5 minutes out of that little town, a torrential rainstorm came up, and it was bad rain, standing water on the road. You couldn't see kind of 5 feet in front of you. That kind of rain, when the mist comes up heavy. And I just remember my car hitting standing water. And immediately my gut instinct, right? Even though, I wasn't, a real Christian guy or anything, was to do what my mama told me. And to cry out to Jesus, and that's what I did. Immediately I was like, Jesus. And my car was doing circles, hit standing water and was doing circles. And then right as that was happening, I was just going off the cliff, man, and huge drop-offs right in the Rockies. And I saw lights real quick, so I would have taken another car. There was another car coming, and so here I am, and this is happening so quick. It's like super surreal, right? And I'm like, Jesus! And all of a sudden, bam! Almost like it never happened. My car was like straight on the road. Yeah! I was sober. And all I could feel was the presence of God. It was really trippy, and I didn't really know, is this the presence of God or whatever, but I knew it was heavy, and whatever it was had done a miracle. Like I said, I was stone cold sober. Bam! And, I know that sounds really hokey to a lot of you, but it's the absolute truth, and it really happened to me. And so I ended up driving in a steamboat, and I had a drink of water. And I remember on the way back, I stopped at this other place. I saw these hippies smoking a bowl outside of this other hotel that they were guest keeping or something. And so I stopped in and started talking to them and telling them this, and and they passed me this bowl, and I'm trying to smoke the bowl. And I'm like, is there a cheater on here or something? I couldn't get high. I was probably exhaling like Snoop Doggy Dogg, big puffs of smoke. But I knew that night that, that God had saved my life, and that God was real. And many people have really questioned that and said, yeah, well, maybe you're telling the truth, but, it couldn't have been God. It must have been, your psychic energy inside of you realigning the vehicle and doing all this crazy stuff. Or it was some kind of faith that rose up in you and reached the universal mind. And I had no faith. I mean, you know what? I was a pretty loving brother, I was addicted to a lot of drugs when I was young. But I really was not a spiritual guy. I mean, spirituality to me ran about as deep as the Grateful Dead. And I'd listen to, the Grateful Dead lyrics and think, wow, that's hot. There's a nugget of wisdom, and there's so much wisdom in that. And I'm glad for that, because that really helped me. But the whole trip was, that it was something that happened to me, and it started a journey. And as years went by, it became more and more undeniable. And I just felt that I kind of owed God, to tell the story, And since then, I've had 1,000 run-ins. I've overdosed. At times, I've lit myself on fire once this summer beside a vat of gasoline that was on fire, and didn't even have the hairs on my arms singed. I've been in multiple accidents and not been hurt. And, I really see it all as the grace of God. And I just want to give Jesus Christ glory today, by saying, you know what, I believe he's who he claimed to be. I believe that he cares for us infinitely. I believe that he has a master plan for our lives. I believe that if we surrender to him, things won't be easy, because I'm not a prosperity gospel guy. I'm not a televangelist or anything like that. I'm just a poor hippie, and I just believe that God has a plan for each and every man, and his plan is eternal. I believe the body's an earth suit, and there's a lot more to come. So, it's not about now. This is the dress rehearsal to the real thing, and one day, paradise is going to be there. So choose today who you will serve. And you know what? If this is tugging at your heart, I would say give God a shout. All you have to do is say, Jesus, are you there? I need you. I want you. Pick up a Holy Bible, investigate it, and start learning about him yourself, and start talking to him, just like I'm talking to you, or you talk to someone else. It's really that simple, And start your own personal faith journey, because Jesus is real, Satan is real, and I've seen him and his demons at work, and they're just as real. So are God and his holy angels, But anyway, stand firm. One blood, one love, one life, one Christ. Woo! Glory. Love you guys. Bless you.